because I was med this morning and it's like everything became clear. Now, Plato says, welcome as you come in. I'm going live here. I'm going to just start so that we can watch the replay of this. And so as I was saying, I got all these truths this morning. Plato says that all learning is just remembering. And so you have the ability to remember these truths that I'm about to share with you. They're not, nothing is new under the sun. I think King Solomon said that in Ecclesiastes. There's nothing new under the sun. But you have a very important purposeful life. But if you don't know your purpose, then you're not going to act that out. So the enemy of our souls wants us to think that we're worthless. If you think that you're worthless, then you're not going to treat yourself with, hey, welcome. If you think that you're worthless, then all right, okay, well, this will help you. All right, someone's sharing that they're being harassed at work. Well, this will help you because this is timeless wisdom for all time. All right, and so if you think you're worthless, you're going to treat yourself as worthless. If I don't know my worth, then I'm just going to fill my life and my stomach with junk food and stuff like that. All right, and so when you know your worth, this can go back to your work as well. When you know your worth, you're going to start treating yourself a different way. You're not going to keep begging other people to treat you a better way. We teach people how to treat us. And so how you learn how to do that, there's this thing that's like, they studied over 2,000 years ago, probably in Greece, called teleology, which is knowing your telos, which is knowing your purpose for being here on this earth. And so again, the purpose of a bike, let's say, is, because I'm looking at the ocean right now. I'd love to share this with you, but it's going to be windy and stuff out there. It's gorgeous though. Is to ride this bike. You ride it. You don't carry it over your head. If you need to carry it over your head to get over some kind of puddle to put it on your car to bring to a different trail, then you might be carrying the bike over your head temporarily. But a bike is meant to be ridden. You ride it. If it's a two-person bike, then two people are riding it and pedaling and make the wheels go. That's the best way to use a bike. Now, you are a soul in a human body. And so if someone harassing you at work helps you understand that you have a higher purpose than just this temporary life, then God bless them. We're meant to bless our enemies, pray for those who persecute us, because it helps us get this higher perspective, not because anyone deserves that. What does any of us deserve? Anything. Deserve is of service. Christ chose to serve. Now, if you know Christ or you don't know Christ, I'm going to talk about his deeper teaching for a moment, because I was just going to make a voice memo for myself, because I never, ever want to forget this truth that came to me this morning. And then I just thought on my drive here, I was like, oh, I'll just go live and then I'll have the video for all of us, God willing. And I can go back to it myself to remember these deep truths. So I'm going to do my best to get into them quickly. But, so I was reading this commentary. My intuition, my inner knowing, hey, welcome, led me to go look up this commentary that I had. I had to go find it in this other bag that I had in my closet, because I was carrying this commentary around with me all the time. It's from the 1100s. And it's by this guy they call Blessed Theophylact. Okay, so he wrote it in Greek. It was it was translated in like 1996 from the Greek. So if you know ancient Greek, you can go get this for free online. So I wish I brought it with me, but then it might be boring if I just look down at it. But what he said was so profound, is that, so he was doing a commentary on something Jesus told us. So Jesus was saying, You cannot be my disciple unless you pick up your cross every day. You pick up your cross and follow me, unless you hate your mother, your father, your wife, your children, like, and your own life, right? And so we know, here, there's the ocean, right? We know, I gotta cool off my phone. We know that that Jesus wasn't saying to take your own life. So he says, he's in the commentary, he says, get understanding on this, understand it. Because when the enemy tempted Jesus to throw himself off the temple to prove his worth or whatever, he didn't. And so we're not called to do that. But he was talking about when you have a purpose here, if you have a purpose here, you have a soul. And Jesus said earlier, some other time, you know, what does it profit you if you gain the whole world but lose your soul? So there's something about your soul. And these are all deep mysteries for you to enter into. I can't tell you everything right now in one live, as much as I do my best to try. And as much as I want to remember it. Let's just be succinct here. Jesus was saying, don't let anything get in your way. This guy explained it so clearly. When your brother or your sister or any of your loved ones, your kin, your own children, your wife, your spouse, or your own life gets in the way of you fulfilling this higher purpose, this telos. So look, I get my nails done even all sparkly like this, right? You can see. To remind myself all the time, no, you are this soul. George MacDonald, C.S. Lewis said he never wrote a book without quoting George MacDonald. George MacDonald said, don't teach your kids they have a soul. Teach them they are a soul and you have this body. That's one way to understand it. It's like you are this soul and you have soul purposes here. So Jesus said, in order to truly be a disciple of this highest path, you have to be willing to be like the Stoics in a way. Let go of anything that blocks you from fulfilling the will of God. Not fulfilling the will of God that you have in your mind, like, oh, God wants me to look like a Christian out there. You know, it's not that. It's how did Jesus do this? He acted in the highest form of love at all times. And so he goes on in the same passage to say, you know, if a person is building a building and they don't count the cost, they don't count what materials they're going to need, and before they start making that building, if they don't build a good foundation, then everyone's going to laugh them to scorn because they're just going to have half a building and like, oh, well, I tried, you know. And so he was saying in that, Blessed Theophylact, this archbishop in Bulgaria in the 1100s, was saying, and he was quoting the church fathers from the early beginning. And I just feel like it's like if every Christian in the world, or every just person, I'm not trying to judge anyone or limit anyone, if every person in the whole world could read and understand what this guy was writing, everyone would remember. I feel like everyone would wake up to this higher way that we're all called to. We're all, I wear this, where God is love, the righteous way. Righteousness, right wayness is just following this path of true love and truth in truth, not, again, not your outer exterior idea of what that looks like, but the real truth. And so that is a depth for, we're meant to dig deep and find what that is. But this Blessed Theophylact person, you know, archbishop, was saying, he's saying, we're meant to live holy lives. We're meant to live lives of that God, by his grace, will sanctify us and make us, it's more psychologically sound as well, but more, you'll know your purpose and you'll act it out, your highest purpose here. Welcome. And so he was saying, if you don't have this foundation of understanding that you're meant to follow this word to its highest purpose, you're meant to carry this out in your life. If you don't know that you won't have a good foundation, and you won't have count the costs. And another thing he said is guard this commitment. If you have committed to live your soul life for this higher purpose that God has called us to, whether you understand God or not, this highest truth of why are we here, and how can I walk out the gifts that are put in me, and the highest purposes that I meant to act out in my life. How can I do that? He says, yeah, then the demons and the people on this earth will laugh you to scorn, because you're starting to build this building, and you, I'm staying here. I'm not leaving. Let me hold on. I'm staying here. I didn't know. Were you waiting for me? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I wasn't.
Okay.
I didn't even realize you were here.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. I'm doing a live. Take care. Have a good one. All right. Thanks. I'm at the beach, so people like stock out the spots, right? And so I'm like, I want to get out there and go. Anyway, anyway, I'll keep that. But anyway, let's get this going. Let's get this done for us, but stay present. And so I'm wanting to tie all of this together for us so we understand. I was talking at the beginning about teleology. That's your telos. When Jesus says, a new commandment I give unto you, he's saying the Greek word. I took Greek for 2 years, ancient Greek, entele, in walk in this telos, love as I have loved you. This is like a telescope or a telephone. This is our end goal, is to learn how to walk in agape love as he has loved us, and to receive that from him, and to be sanctified and cleaned, and receive the grace, receive the forgiveness. He took our curse upon himself. All of those things are still true. All right. And so God made each of us individual and put certain gifts in you that you're meant to activate here on this earth. But if you don't know your worth, and you believe all these lies from childhood that we internalize, that you're not worth this, that you have to prove your worth by getting a bigger bank account or by getting this fancy car or whatever. If you keep thinking you have to do that of your own, then you're going to be running like a chicken with its head cut off all over these other places. And it's, it leaks out your energy. You only have, give us this day our daily bread. We only have a certain amount of energy every day. Now, when you give that away, then more energy will come to you. But I could talk for 4 hours about that. So I'm not going to do that. Let's stay on this. And so Jesus says, a wise person counts the cost before they start making a building. And so when you give your life to Christ to be his disciple, which is like, you're being a disciple of perfect love by the awakened one who came here, the God-man that left heaven to show us how to live in perfect humanity, but also to turn us into God. Saint Athanasius said that God became man so that man could become God with a little g. We're not going to be the big God. Like, there's the ocean right out there. And so it's like, if I am a drop of that ocean and I go back into the ocean, I feel one with God. But I'm not the one that created that ocean. All right. And so we're meant to have this. Like, I wear this to remind myself always too. We came from love and we're going back to love. All right. And so it's called divine union. So we all have that heart, that longing for this divine union. And we don't get to speed up that process. But one way we can do that can be in that love now. Jesus said in John 15, remain in my love. I am the vine, you are the branches. Apart from me, you can do no thing. Remain in my love. And so we're meant to be in this love. Let me make sure they don't think I'm leaving. Well, anyway. And so, So with this longing that we remember, you have a remembrance that we're meant to be in this love, and Jesus came and he's awake and conscious and shows us how to walk in this love. And when you walk in this love, it activates your higher purposes. So you don't even care who's harassing you at work, because you can't be bothered, because you're walking on a level that really is higher than that. You're not like sticking up your nose and going, oh, I don't care, I don't need that. And you're not being like white knuckling it, like, I don't need that, I don't care about you. You're starting to know your worth on such a high level that they're just like someone taught me, this woman, Latoya Okia, taught me, they're like chickens. Chickens can't fly but 3 feet off the ground. They're just all pecking at each other, and they're operating in this way. And you are meant to soar like an eagle. Now, an eagle, if a snake tries to fight it, if an eagle goes down, the snake can bite it on the ground. But if the eagle brings the snake up, it can't fight it. Like, the eagle has the upper hand, if you will. Or if a crow is trying to fight at an eagle, it's pecking at it, and if the eagle turns around, it exposes its heart to that crow. But the crow can't fly as high as the eagle. But if the eagle doesn't know it can fly higher, then it's fighting at the level of the crow, and you're not meant to fight at the level of the crow. I don't know, I'm thinking of Bruce Lee right now. I just have such a heart for Bruce Lee. And there, what didn't he, I think he was I think someone tried to take him out when he was making a movie about a crow or something. I don't know, that's just coming to me right now, but I just trust that that will be for someone. Bruce Lee said, empty your cup, but empty your cup of your own self, of your own vanity, because you are not your vanity. You are this higher soul self that God created. Okay, so when you fly higher, when you fly up, then the crow can't fly that high. And so it's remembering and learning that you can. So Jesus said, count the costs, and so Blessed Theophylact said, oh, remember your guard. He said, guard your commitment to Christ and to this Christ path, and to allowing Christ to keep redeeming you, if you want to put it that way, if allowing him to heal you and bring you out of all of this trauma and stop identifying with your trauma. And so Jesus also says, build your house deep. You have to dig deep and build it on the rock, not on the sand. If you build your life